38 teams to go on my road to predict all 131 teams this college football offseason. We are moving on to the Sun Belt champions from last season. The Louisiana Ragin Cajuns are now on the block for 2022 predictions. And this is the team that loses a lot more than just a lot of talent on the football field. They also lose their head coach. Billy Napier is going to be moving on to coach the Florida Gators in 2022. However, this program is a believer in promoting from within. The old offensive coordinator going to be that new head coach for Louisiana. This is going to be a little bit of an adjustment year for the Ragin Cajuns. However, this is a team that absolutely can push for yet another spot in the Sun Belt title game. So will Louisiana win their second straight Sun Belt Conference championship? Or is this going to be a Louisiana team that's going to fall back after all they've lost? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate, and welcome to my channel. I'm predicting all 131 teams this college football offseason, which means I'm doing your favorite team. If I haven't done so already, hit subscribe, ring the bell, or hey, do that anyway if you want to hear thoughts about some of the group of 5 teams and and you want to hear my thoughts about things during the season. And to Louisiana fans out there, you guys will know this team a lot more than I do. So if you feel like I missed something and you want to add something, leave it in the comment section down below. I'll be happy to hear with what you guys have to say. So let's talk about Louisiana in 2022. One of the more interesting teams in the Sun Belt. They're third in my initial preseason power rankings in the Sun Belt Conference. This team was phenomenal last year. After an early season loss to Texas, this team went on a tear. They were 13-0 since then, 9-0 in conference play, including a conference championship game win. That is included in the conference record there. 13-1 overall, including a bowl win, conference championship game. Very, very good season for Louisiana. Statistically, this team was also pretty good. 412 yards with around 31 points per game offensively, and defensively, 345 yards per game with only 18 points per game surrendered. This was a very, very good defensive team a season ago for Louisiana. Now, we got to understand what this team is losing, though, right? But in order to understand what they have, again, we got to know what this team is losing. What this list won't tell you is that they're also losing their head coach in Billy Napier. I promise you I will say this name wrong. I apologize for any more mispronunciations in the video. Michael DeSormo is going to be coming in to be that new head coach. So congratulations to him being promoted from the offensive coordinator position. We'll see how well he can do in his first year as the head man. Quarterback Levi Lewis is gone. The head man for this Louisiana team for so long, you got to replace him now. Had 2,917 yards, 60% completion percentage, 20 touchdowns and 4 interceptions a season ago, and man, does losing him hurt. Was a very, very solid piece to your offense for the past couple of seasons, and now you're going to have to find a new quarterback for this upcoming year. Running backs Montrell Johnson and Amani Bailey are also gone and off this team. Your second and third leading rushers, respectively. Johnson, 838 yards, 12 touchdowns. Amani Bailey, 642 yards and 8 touchdowns. So you do lose both of those guys right there. At the wide receiver position, you lose a couple of really nice talents. Most notably, in my opinion, is Kyron Lacey. Only 22 catches for 304 yards, but did have 6 touchdowns a season ago. He's transferred out of the program. And then Jalen Williams is also no longer with the team. 191 yards and a touchdown for him just a season ago. When you take a look at the offensive linemen, man, they lose a lot of offensive linemen. Max Mitchell, Osiris Torrance, Cameron Waits. This is an offensive line that's also going to need to do a little bit of rebuilding. They did lose a lot of offensive talent, but they're also losing a ton of defensive talent. Taylon Humphrey is gone off of that defensive line. The linebacking group got torched as well. Chauncey Manick is gone off this team at 57 tackles, 10.5 sacks a season ago. Lorenzo McCaskill, who had 84 tackles, led the team. He is gone. Farrod Gardner had 67 tackles, a sack and a half, 3 passes defended, and a pick. You lose him off the linebacking group and off the defensive back group. Percy Butler is gone. Mekhi Williams Gardner is gone. And Jalen Johnson. You lose all of those guys there as well. So this is a Louisiana team that, on top of losing their head coach, loses a lot of talent offensively, defensively, all over the field. This is a Louisiana team that is definitely going to be in a little bit of a rebuild and reload type year. But when you look at some of the talent that's on this team, there is a lot of reason for optimism if you are a Ragin Cajun fan. First of all, your new quarterback is going to be Chandler Fields. That's the way it seems to at this point at least. In limited playing time last year, only threw 13 passes, had 106 yards and a touchdown. He was 9 of 13 overall, which is a 69% completion percentage. So pretty solid stuff from Chandler Fields from what we've seen. He probably should end up being that starting quarterback. I know there's some other guys back in that room, including a pretty solid freshman coming in. But I do expect Chandler Fields to be that starting guy in 2022. You also do return your leading rusher by volume in Chris Smith. He had 153 attempts, which was 9 less than Montrell Johnson, but at 855 yards and 8 touchdowns a season ago. So you do return your leading rusher. You also do return a lot of talent at the wide receiver position. Peter LeBlanc had 417 yards and a touchdown a season ago. Michael Jefferson, if he would have caught more passes at his average clip last year, man, would he have been explosive. Only had 18 catches, but was the leading receiver, had 481 yards, an average quick math of 26.7 yards per catch, and 4 touchdowns for this team a season ago. Dante Fleming also comes back along with a slew of other wide receivers. And tight end duo still coming back. Neil Johnson and Johnny Lumpkin going to be those 2 tight ends as Louisiana likes to run that 2 tight end system. Defensively, defensive line is going to be led by Andre Jones, Zion Hill, Jaquain Nelson, a couple guys on the defensive line there. At linebacker, Jordan Quibido is going to be coming back as well. As A.J. Riley and Chris Moncrief. And defensive backs, Braylon Trahan, Eric Garrer, and Cam Pettiscolo. You got all of them coming back there as well. So lots of nice talent on this team. There's definitely a lot of good offensive talent, good defensive talent. And if things can get pieced together quickly under DeSormo, this is going to be a very, very, very fun team to watch in 2022. And when you take a look at this schedule, I mean, there just aren't a lot of games that jump out at you. There's no App State. There's no Coastal Carolina. There's no Georgia State. You do have to go on the road and play Marshall. You do have to go on the road and play Florida State. But there's not really a whole lot of other games that make you say, whoa, that's going to be a fun game to watch. So going over the schedule a little bit, non-conference is Southeastern Louisiana. You get that game at home. You also have a home game against Eastern Michigan and a road game against Rice. And then later in the year, of course, a road game against Florida State. And then when you get into conference play, you got road games against Louisiana Monroe, Marshall, Southern Miss, and Texas State to cap off the year. Home games against South Alabama, Arkansas State, Troy, and Georgia Southern. So diving on into the schedule a little bit more, no non-conference game really intrigues me. Eastern Michigan's going to be looking to replace a lot this year. Rice, well, okay, here's what I'll say about Rice. As much as I joke about Rice on the show, don't lose to food. On the road against Rice, this was a Rice team that put up some solid numbers last year, and there were some players that put up some solid numbers. So on the road against Rice, I'm not saying it's like a trap game or a game they should worry about or anything, but Rice may make the game a little closer than people think. On the road against Florida State there as well, I mean, that by far, looking at the schedule, is going to be your toughest game this year. This is the Florida State team that is looking to improve, looking to get better under Mike Norvell in 2022. And it definitely is a Florida State team more than capable of getting into the postseason. When you look elsewhere, in Sun Belt play, even though there's no App State, no Coastal Carolina, no Georgia State, there are games that jump out to me on the schedule. The first one is that home game against Troy. Troy is a team in Louisiana's division that also does not have a particularly difficult schedule. Now, there are difficult games on that schedule, but this is a Troy team that I do like to maybe give Louisiana a challenge, a real true challenge to push for this division. I think Troy is capable of winning the division this upcoming season, and it is a Troy team that I do like to compete with Louisiana, and this very well may be the game right here who decide who goes to the Sun Belt Conference Championship game in early November. Although there are other interesting games on the schedule, you do have that road game against Southern Miss. If they can stay healthy, that can be a dangerous team. On the road against Marshall, a newcomer to the Sun Belt, that's going to be an interesting game there as well. A road game against ULM. Look, that team won 4 games last year, and if they can somehow improve on that, and they can improve tenfold statistically from a season ago, maybe could be an interesting game to watch there. There are some other little odds and ends around this schedule as well, but the schedule, fairly easy. for the talent that's on this Louisiana team. Now, I don't do game-by-game predictions. I do a more percentage-based Alec tell me predicted team's record. So if the game's in red, I don't see you winning the game. If the game's in orange, I still don't see you winning the game, but it is college football and upsets can happen. Yellow, you're 50-50, high upset potential games. Games in yellow-green are games that you should win, but you got to watch out for teams on the other side of the ball, and games in green are games that I have you winning. Southeastern Louisiana should be able to win that one. Other non-conference games, Eastern Michigan, Rice, they're both in the yellow-green. I expect them to win both of them, but I do think both are going to provide their unique challenges for this Louisiana team, who is going to be kind of looking and feeling out some of the new talent and some of the new guys that are being brought up higher on the depth chart. That road game against Florida State in Tallahassee at season's end, or towards season's end, I guess I should say. I think that by far is their toughest game on the schedule. Don't necessarily expect them to go on the road and win that thing, especially with how depleted Louisiana was. This is a team that returned some guys like Bailey, Lewis, Lacey, McCaskill, Gardner, Williams, Gardner. I may very well consider putting that game in yellow, but that game is in orange. I think Florida State's going to be a solid team this year. Now, when you look across this schedule, there are a lot of games in yellow-green. And the main reason for that is a lot of them are either low yellow-green or mid yellow-green games. Take, for example, the game against Southern Miss. That's a game that you very well could end up putting in yellow. Southern Miss is a team, though, that's got to stay healthy first. They had some injury problems last year. But again, don't predict injuries on this show. Saying that they're healthy, that's going to be a solid football team. That's a team that's going to push for a spot in a bowl game this year. Louisiana having to go play them on the road, them being a newcomer to the Sun Belt. Who knows what their competition level is going to be like this year. So possible game that Louisiana could lose on the road there. You possibly could go on the road and lose to ULM, although I think that's a much bigger ask. And that is definitely a much bigger, like, whoa. Like whoa. Okay. Like, the upset potential just increased there in that game. It's a ULM team that did win 4 games last year. If they can improve on that from last year, they have the talent to be dangerous. Not like a contender or anything in the Sun Belt, but they have the potential to be dangerous. Do I think they're going to be dangerous? Probably not as dangerous as they were last year, but again, statistically, that just wasn't a dangerous team. They just happened to come away with 4 wins last year. All in all, when I look up and down this Louisiana schedule, there are not a lot of hard games. And this is the team that I fully expect to be in the conversation late in the season for a spot in the Sun Belt Championship game. And heck, maybe they already clinch it after that win against Troy on November 5th, if they can get that one done. However, with this Louisiana team, I see Chandler Fields fitting in for Levi Lewis fairly decently. I don't know that from what I've seen, he's going to be able to fully replace the production of Levi Lewis. But look, this schedule is just far too easy for the talent that's on this Louisiana team. With no App State, with no Coastal Carolina, with no Georgia State standing in their way, got this team at 9-3 in 2022. Now, that being said, the wheels can fall off the bus and they can go 6-6. And I think 10-2 is a great, great possibility for this Louisiana team just because of the way that this schedule is built. There are not a lot of super difficult games. There are some interesting games, like that road game against Southern Miss, like that road game against ULM. The road game against Marshall, home game against Troy, probably your 2 toughest tasks in the Sun Belt Conference. On the road against Florida State, probably your toughest game overall. This is the team that I think can get back to the Sun Belt Championship game, and I think with an easier schedule this year, it's going to be a nice little filling out year for the new head coach and his new talent. So that's going to do it for my predictions on the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns. 9-3 is my prediction. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And hey, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. It helps support my channel. And please, remember to play hard but tailgate harder. See all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.